Welcome to Barkhausen Nature Bites. Today we're talking about what plants and animals do in the summer during times when it gets really hot out and not a lot of rain. And lately we've had that. It's been pretty hot out. It's been almost unbearable, in fact. You walk outside, you start sweating right away in the morning. You feel like a Wookiee in a sauna. Little Star Wars reference for you there. And we have to wonder, how do plants and animals cope with those times and not a lot of rain and hot temperatures? Well, for plants, they have several adaptations to help them get through that. So some plants, especially our native prairie plants, will have really deep root systems, get way down there in the soil and allow them to extract some moisture down there even if it hasn't rained recently. And a lot of other plants will have something else or do something else to help them get through those times of drought. And so on their leaves, there's little tiny microscopic openings called stomata. And those stomata are where air goes back and forth. And that's how the plants take in carbon dioxide to help them with the process of photosynthesis, how they make their food. And the problem with those little openings, though, is that they can lose too much water out there if it hasn't rained in a while. They'll lose it by water vapor and just kind of evaporate up into the air. So to help them conserve what water they got, they'll actually close those openings. Some plants will close those openings during the day and then open them at night. And they'll use some stored carbon dioxide inside the plant at night to undergo photosynthesis. They won't grow quite as well or as fast, but at least allows them to get through this periods of drought when there's not a lot of rain. And some plants can even do this during the day, back and forth, close them and open them depending on how much moisture is out there. So let's say there's a little rain shower that comes through, it's a small one, and they sense that, and they get some water in the stems, they can open those stomata up, go undergo photosynthesis, and then as soon as it starts to get a little bit drier, they can start closing them back up again. So some plants can regulate that, just basically conserve how much water is in the plant and not lose too much by just water vapor, by evaporation. Now for animals, for like let's say mammals, they have a number of things. You know, obviously they can go into the shade, they can go into underground burrows, stay cool that way. For other animals like turtles, fish, and frogs, they'll go to cooler parts of lakes and ponds. But for mammals, you have to remember that they do change their fur coat. So we talked about this earlier this year. They have a really thick winter coat on the winter to stay warm. But in the summer, they're going to go to a very thin, it's really, really thin, not a lot of hair, kind of like what's on top of my head, not a lot of hair on them. And that basically is like them putting on shorts for the summer, allows them to stay nice and cool. And for deer, they'll actually lose most, if not all, the hair on their ears. And there's little blood vessels on their ears that get really close to the skin. So as their blood's pumping through their body and goes up to their ears, they can get rid of excess body heat that way pretty easily, and it helps them stay cool for the summer. For birds, they got a couple cool ways of staying cool for the summer, besides jumping into bird bath and that. For some birds, like herons will do this, owls will do this, mourning doves will do this as well. It's called gular fluttering, and basically it's like panting, but a little bit different. They're gonna open their mouths up, and looks like they're panting, kind of like your dog when the tongue's hanging out and drool and all that kind of stuff, breathing really fast. It looks like they're panting. They're doing a little bit differently. Their mouth's open, breathing really, really fast, but they're also vibrating the throat muscles really, really fast as well. And what that's doing is every time they take a breath out, exhale, they're going to get rid of a lot of excess body heat really quickly that way. So herons, again, owls will do this, mourning doves will do this as well. It allows them to get rid of the excess body heat. For another bird, and this is kind of, let's be honest, a little gross, for vultures, they have a very unique way of staying cool. What they'll actually do is they'll go ahead and they'll go do a number 2. So it's kind of gross. Basically, they're going to poop on their legs, number 2. And to be honest with you, birds really don't have a number 2. It's kind of like a 3. It's like a 1 and 2 combined there. Okay, I'll let you guys think about that. But vultures will do that on their bare legs. Now, they don't have any feathers on their legs, they're on their bare legs. And it sounds gross, but when that gets on their legs and it starts to dry off and that's evaporating, well, it's pulling body heat away from those birds. So it's like us sweating, and as the sweat evaporates and dries up, it's pulling body heat away from us. Well, vultures are doing that by doing, again, number 3, we'll call it, on their legs, and as it evaporates, it cools them down. So yeah, it's kind of gross, but let's be honest, vultures aren't really that picky about it, and it works, so why not? So this summer, as it gets really, really hot out and there's not a lot of rain, you're wondering how plants and animals are coping with it. They have a lot of really good adaptations. If you want to help them out, you know, bird bath is always a nice thing to put out there. I always recommend putting some like gravel or some rock in varying depths of height in that bird bath, so smaller birds can get in there, larger birds. And if it's really shallow, insects like butterflies will use it as well. And to be honest with you, this morning, it's not too bad out. It was actually a little chilly this morning, but you know what they say, chilly today, hot tamale. Thanks for watching Barkhausen Nature Bites.